Marie Antoinette may never have said, let them eat cake, but the phrase has been used as the opener for many a tirade on dieting. Welcome to Calm in the Chaos Interfaith Center, where we do eat cake when it is served at a special event, but not as a regular part of the personal food plan. As such, I'm reminded that we adults are all responsible for what does enter our systems as nutrition or as non nutrition. Now, there are exceptions, like the man who weighed over 800 pounds and was bedridden. His family members were responsible for what he had on his plate because he couldn't shop or prepare anything for himself. But for those of us who do have the shopping, slicing, chopping, cooking, measuring, and baking ingredients and tools at the ready, we take responsibility. What is known as fast food has now become more like immediate food because if the person in line at the drive up window is taking too long, that person in front of us, the drivers behind get really impatient. Luckily, there's a growing trend of whole foods being the best choices, and more people are growing their own food without chemicals or pesticides, without herbicides and artificial fertilizers. Funny, isn't it? We are so used to the chemical foods that we now call the real, honest to goodness, right from the ground, unchemical foods organic. And those foods sometimes come at a slightly higher price, unless you grow your own. My grandmother never heard the word organic. To her, that was the normal way of eating, and it was just called food. There's another phrase that I haven't heard recently, but was quite prevalent as I grew up. You are what you eat. Now, as a child, I took it literally and I thought it was hilarious that I was made up of apples and shepherd's pie and carrots. But the phrase rings quite true to me as an adult, and it's true not only for us, but for deer, chickens, and other animals too. That's why marketers have now branded grass fed beef and free range chickens, and why my dad's hunting buddies planted acres of corn in the fields where they were hunting. Now, here's a little aside: free range for chickens doesn't mean that they're wandering around an open field eating bugs and worms and everything else they find. It can just mean an open door on their pen that allows them to go out. They may never go out. And a chicken that doesn't have freedom, that is always indoors and confined to a small area, must eat exactly what the farmer gives them. They have no other choice. Our bodies really do reflect what we've put into them. And if we buy only basic ingredients and make everything from scratch, we do see a difference. On a TV show about nutrition and fast food, a famous TV doctor said, you can have all the burgers and fries you want if you make them yourself at home. He knew then that holding us all accountable for what we eat and putting that made from scratch qualifier on it would make a big difference and would make people pause to evaluate. And honestly, most people would not peel and cut the potatoes to make fries at home very often. Thinking about physical health gives me the opportunity to make an analogy to my work and brings me to asking, how's your spiritual health? Because you are what you think. You are what you order at the fast food window of social media. You are influenced by the casserole ideas that others bring to the picnic. Spiritual health is all about choices and behaviors exactly as it is for physical health. Let's define spiritual health. This term refers to our sense of connection to something that is beyond the human realm, something that we might call a higher power. Some of us believe that the higher power is a God. Some of us find that powerful essence in nature. Some of us experience the presence of divinity in being with others of like mind. Spiritual health includes rituals that connect us to the sacred. It can include reading materials that help us to understand the higher power. And if we're spiritually healthy, we can find a source of comfort in hard times. Our physical health can be measured by scientific means with numbers indicating sugar levels, the pressure of blood that pulses through our veins, how many pounds the scale shows, the circumference of a baby's head, and so forth. Spiritual health can also be measured, but not in the same fashion. Let's answer a few questions to assess our spiritual health. Do you feel connected to a higher power? Do you have a sense of purpose to your life? Can you list a set of values that help you to make decisions? Do you have a list of core beliefs to which you hold fast? Are you able to cope with difficulties and conflict? Is compassion your go to response to others? How often do you express gratitude? Do you cultivate a sense of inner peace and groundedness? This list is just an overview of what we might want to think about in the coming days. How can we nurture these attributes in ourselves so that we are what we think? In Buddhism, we are taught that the mind is everything. And I've come to realize this as truth. When I hear my friends bemoan the current state of the world and explain how frightened and angry they are, my first words are usually advice to turn off the news. Turning off the news won't throw us into an ignorance is bliss mode, but it might allow our thoughts to center more on gratitude for what we have. This, in turn, can give us strength to take more steps to fight the evil. We need to balance our spiritual intake, which is thoughts, so that our health can stay strong. Our thoughts shape our reality. What we think, we become. External circumstances are catalysts and stimuli, but we get to choose how we respond. Have you read the book Tuesdays with Morrie? It was written by Mitch Albom, who's a former professor. Morrie Schwartz was dying of ALS. And Mitch visited his professor every Tuesday, and they spoke of family and of love, death, and forgiveness as Morrie shared his wisdom with Mitch. Mitch learned new lessons from this dying man that by accepting death, we could live more fully. Morrie spoke of always valuing the people in our lives more than anything material. Morrie was shaping his death journey by his thoughts, and he was sharing it all with Mitch, and Mitch shared it with us. Thoughts are not passive observations of our environment and experiences. They are what shapes this reality, and we become what we think. So, how do we enhance our spiritual health? What are the apples a day and filtered water of the spiritual realm? Well, we purposely cultivate thoughts that lead to beliefs, that that lead to actions that lead to health. When we have a thought that breeds more melancholy, more disgust, more energy depleting anger, let's be aware of it and label it burgers and fries. Now and then, they're delicious. Sometimes burgers and fries are the easiest thing to grab, the go to for the moment. But we cannot and should not sustain a health life that way. I'm going to move into a creed now, a menu plan, if you will, for a healthy life. It was written by a woman for a women's retreat. It's called the Real Woman Creed. And I believe that it holds some powerful thoughts that we could add to our healthy spiritual diet. And men, I also ask you to think about your own creed and invite you to write one. Please know how serious I am about men needing their own creed today. If the Spirit moves you, send it to me. If you give permission to share it, I will do so in a future God Talk. Here is the Real Woman Creed. I believe that within me lies an extraordinary radiance, and I commit to letting my light loose in the world. I believe that the source of my power and wisdom is in the center of me, and I commit to acting from this place of strength. I believe that I possess an abundance of passion and creative potential, and I commit to the expression of these gifts. I believe that time has come to let go of old notions and unhealthy attitudes, and I commit to re-examine what I've been told about beauty and dismiss what insults my soul. I believe that negative thoughts and words compromise my well-being, and I commit to thinking and speaking positively about myself and others. I believe that young women are in need of positive role models, and I commit to being an example of authenticity and self-love. I believe in the relationship between my well-being and the well-being of the planet, and I commit to a life of mindfulness that regards all living things as holy and worthy of my love. I believe it is my spiritual responsibility to care for my body with respect and kindness and compassion. I commit to balancing my life in such a way that my physical being is fully expressed and nurtured. I believe that joy is an essential part of wellness, and I commit to removing obstacles to joy and creating a life that is full of exuberance. I believe that a woman who loves herself is a powerful, passionate, attractive force, and I commit from this day forward to loving myself deeply and extravagantly. Blessings on all.